My career goals in sports journalism are to be either like a beat writer for an NFL team like the Bengals, an MLB team like the Cincinnati Reds, a college team like a Kentucky football or Kentucky basketball, a well-known major college. If I was a beat writer or a journalist in any capacity for one of those schools, that would be a dream ideal job for me, and that's what I'm going to strive to do every single day in my journalism career, is to get to that point where I'm working one of those kinds of jobs and making a lot of money, and get to where, I mean, I enjoy covering high school sports, but I eventually want to be a beat writer for a college or an NFL or a professional team of some kind. And I know that I'm going to have to continue to hone my craft every day as my career progresses to do that, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Um, as far as what I've learned about sports journalism as a professional field, it's a field where you really have to make sure that you are bringing your A game when it comes to giving fans sports coverage they want to read, giving them advanced and insightful analysis of stuff that they can't find anywhere else. That's a big thing you have to do. You really have to make sure that you're not being too positive or too negative, just somewhere in between. If you do that, if you give that kind of sports coverage and tell those kinds of sports stories, I think in time you'll gain more readers, more of a following, and people will enjoy reading your work more. And that's also something that I'm going to prioritize doing as a sports journalist, is making sure my content is as insightful as possible, and that the reader can always learn something from reading my articles. And that's something, like I said, that I'm going to emphasize a lot going forward. And my goals fit into that field. My goals fit into the sports journalism field because, like Professor Moritz mentioned in the description of this assignment, maybe I might not always be writing a story for a newspaper or writing an article for online. I may have to appear on podcasts and talk about sports and talk about an upcoming game or something like that. A perfect example of that is John Clay of the Lexington Herald-Leader, covers Kentucky football and basketball. He has a podcast called the John Clay Podcast, where he previews the upcoming games of Kentucky basketball and Kentucky football. Even though most of his stuff is just online articles, I envision myself doing something like that in the future, and I'll have to learn how to do that as well as distribute my sports coverage onto multiple platforms and not just an online article in a newspaper. So, I'm going to have to adapt and change with the times as a sports journalist, because sports journalism is an ever-changing and ever-evolving field. And I knew years ago that I wanted to be a sports journalist. Even when I was in high school over a decade ago, I knew this is what I wanted to be doing, and here it is over a decade later, and I'm doing it. This is my passion. It's what I love doing. I love sports writing, and for me to have the kind of career that I want to have in the future, which is to be a beat writer or an editor for a professional team or a major college team like Texas, Alabama, Kentucky, Florida, Wisconsin, Ohio State, doesn't matter. I'm always going to have to make sure that I am locked in, focused, and mentally ready for every day that faces me as a sports journalist, and that's exactly what I plan on doing. I've gained lots of experience covering high school sports and over the last 5 years, and I don't plan to stop gaining experience covering sports. And like I said, this is a field I love being a part of, and it's a field that I want to stay in the rest of my life. At the end of my career, I want to be remembered as a great journalist in some capacity, whether it's in a certain town, in a certain state. I just want to leave a lasting impact and a positive mark on this field for some area or for some state or for some, anywhere. I want to be remembered as a great sports journalist, and I'm going to strive every day to hone my craft, and I'm going to always look for ways to get better. And sports journalism is a field that's, like I said, ever changing, and it's something that it's a field that I'm always going to have to prioritize improving in, and that's going to be my modus operandi. That's what I'm going to plan on doing.